Earlier today, I spoke with political analyst and author Mark Halperin about his new book, How to Beat Trump. Mark interviewed more than 75 political strategists in order to get the answer to the all-important question. Here's that interview.
The Democrats I interviewed have great experience in past presidential campaigns, some winning, some losing. And the reason I wrote the book was I kept hearing from them over and over, our party does not have a candidate who can beat this guy. Incumbents almost never lose. Since 1900, 4 elected incumbents have lost re-election. And Donald Trump is a beast of a presidential candidate. He got elected last time with no campaign. This time he'll have over $1 billion to spend. And so my book doesn't talk about the candidates. It talks more about the advice that these strategists have for any of the candidates, whoever the nominee is. But they face a lot of challenges, including the fact that Donald Trump has been running for re-election now for a couple years. These Democrats are focused on trying to beat each other, and they'll be doing that at least till March and maybe all the way to the convention in July.
Right, and just for everybody at home, the book does not advocate for the defeat of Donald Trump. It just takes a look at some of the strategies being talked about and how to do that. When you look at the 2020...
And I could say, just if I could say, not only does it not advocate his defeat, it talks a lot about why he's a strong candidate, right, including the fact that he led a movement. This is not someone who should be taken lightly, not just because he's great on Twitter, but because he talks about issues that excite a lot of the American people.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that's lost on a lot of folks, again, who are not super focused on this right now, is the point you brought up, is that at this stage of the game, Donald Trump is so much more ahead of where he was in 2016. When you look at the likelihood that Donald Trump is going to get reelected, what do you think the percentages of that are right now?
Almost everyone I interviewed for the book, over 75 Democratic strategists and a few Republicans, said they thought Trump was the favorite. Some thought he was the heavy favorite, and some thought their chances of winning, no matter who the Democrats nominate, were shrinkingly small. So I think he's better than 50-50. And it may be, according to some of the people I interviewed, substantially better than that. When Barack Obama was running for re-election in December of 2011, so a couple months later than we are now in terms of the cycle, the New York Times Magazine ran a cover story that was titled, "Is Barack Obama Toast?" And they gave him a 17% chance of getting reelected. And as your viewers know, he was easily reelected. Yeah. President Obama had some problems, it appeared, but Donald Trump's team has studied the Obama reelection, the Bush reelection, the Clinton reelection, and they recognize that while the head-to-head polls don't look good now, once there's an opponent, once Donald Trump can train his sights on an opponent the way he did on Jeb Bush, the way he did on Hillary Clinton, he is a very tough adversary, according to everybody I interviewed for the book.
And you also take a look at the 1992 presidential race, the last time a challenger beat an incumbent president. What lessons, and we're talking about Bill Clinton beating George H.W. Bush, what lessons from 1992 do Democrats hope that they can learn and apply to 2020?
The main lesson that you learn from that in the story of how Bill Clinton was able to win with the help of the Democratic Party is something that Democrats worry is not being followed now, which is you have to start thinking now about the general election. If you're going to beat an incumbent, as difficult it is to take any of your focus, any of your resources away from trying to become the nominee of your party, if you're going to beat an incumbent, you need to be thinking about it now, practically and in terms of message and in terms of taking on Donald Trump, because running against Donald Trump is unlike anything else anyone in this field of Democratic candidates has done. So Bill Clinton had the luxury, had the benefit of the fact that the Democratic Party and its chairman, Ron Brown, its chief strategist, a guy named Paul Tully, who most of your viewers probably haven't heard of, but was one of the most influential Democratic strategists of his time, kind of the Karl Rove of the Democratic Party. They built an operation, a turnkey operation that Bill Clinton was able to inherit when he became the Democratic nominee. The party doesn't have anything like that now. No. So when whoever becomes the Democratic nominee, they're not going to have what Bill Clinton had, which is a lot of planning, a lot of thinking about the general election, down to targeting voters in Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, the voters who are going to decide who wins, who the next president is.
Yeah, and we know the Trump team is gathering all the data from those places when they go to these rallies. That type of data is unprecedented. And this might be a little redundant, but I want to ask you again, when you speak to all these Democrats, do they really... do you get the feeling that they have a grasp on what they're actually up against in 2020? The money, the organization, and the unshakable base of support, especially when you look at some of this new polling recently about how supportive Trump's base actually is in light of this impeachment stuff.
The people I interviewed, believe me, they understand what they're up against. What they're worried is that some of the presidential candidates don't get it, because most of the people who oppose Donald Trump live in a bubble. Ask people who are hardcore Democrats, who do you know best in your life who supports Donald Trump? I ask Democrats that all the time. And mostly they say, I don't know anybody. They literally don't know anybody who supports him. And that puts them in a place where they don't understand his appeal. They don't really understand how he won the first time. They blame it entirely on Hillary Clinton being a bad candidate, and that certainly was part of it. But the people I interviewed, their message is, this guy is going to be hard to beat like any incumbent. This guy has candidates.
What Democrats are up against, how formidable Trump's campaign is going to be in 2020. Let's say maybe somebody like Pete Buttigieg, does he have some sort of lane opening up here?
Look, I think one of the reasons Democrats are worried, although I don't write about the candidates in the book, I write about the ideas that people have for any candidate. But one of the reasons they're worried is, you name three of the candidates, Joe Biden will probably be on that list, two of the four who are most in contention. They're worried that none of them have what it takes. None of them have the broad-based appeal to win a general election, to build the kind of operation you need, the kind of battleship you need to go up against the political Death Star that Donald Trump is building with $1 billion plus. So it's not going to be easy, I think, for any of those Democrats to win. They're all flawed candidates. Every person is flawed. Every politician is flawed. But it's easy to look at somebody like a Bernie Sanders, someone like Elizabeth Warren, and just on their interviewed for the book say, we will be starting in a serious hole if our nominee has those two positions.
Yeah, indeed. And, that also raises the question, you hear this talked about more and more these days, could there be a surprise candidate, maybe like Hillary jumping back in the race or John Kerry, and, hear far-flung names like Michelle Obama even?
Yeah, well, look, I think Michelle Obama will do everything she possibly can to defeat Donald Trump, except run for president or vice president.
Right.
And the problem for the party who's looking for a white knight, someone to come in at the last minute like a Hillary Clinton, is, first of all those people are flawed too. The two you named, Hillary Clinton, John Kerry, they've lost presidential races already. And the problem is Joe Biden. He doesn't appear to be going anywhere.
Right.
He's taking up that establishment lane, and I think he'll take up that lane well into the winter, beyond which any of these candidates could get in because they'd be missing too many of the filing deadlines to get on the ballot. So if there's going to be someone who's the nominee not in this field, it'd probably be someone who's chosen by the superdelegates at a brokered convention in Milwaukee in July. Yeah,
it's a very interesting calendar this year, too. California is going to play a huge role, and I think, in ultimately determining the nominee. But let's invert the title of your book. What must Trump do to win?
Yeah. It's very simple. It's what the last three incumbents needed to do to win. I mentioned that Barack Obama wasn't given a good chance for re-election. When George Bush was running for re-election, James Carville, one of the smartest Democrats I've ever met, said that if Bush got reelected, it would be the singularly most impressive political achievement of his lifetime. And of course, Bush got reelected. Donald Trump, as the people I talked to for the book said, he couldn't win an up or down referendum. Do you want 4 more years of Donald Trump? He doesn't have enough support to do that. What he needs to do, singularly, is to eliminate the Democrat, whoever the Democrats nominate, as an acceptable choice for a sufficient number of the American people who say, you know what, I don't love everything about Donald Trump, but I don't like the other person. I don't like the other guy or the other woman. I'm gonna stick with the incumbent. If the economy stays where it is, not full gangbusters as the president promised, but still growing at a decent rate, and if he can make the Democratic choice unacceptable, the way Mitt Romney was made unacceptable, the way John Kerry was made unacceptable, the way Hillary Clinton for a lot of people was made unacceptable, then I think that is his path to re-election, and that's what the president's campaign and the Republican Party plans to do once they see who the Democrats nominate.
And it's running like a well-oiled machine if you believe the fundraising totals and the tweets from Brad Parscale. The new book.
And the Facebook.
And the Facebook. That stuff, they are killing it over there. The new book is called How to Beat Trump, America's Top Political Strategist on What It Will Take. Great book. Love or hate Trump. Great insights in here on 2020. Great to talk to you, Mark Halperin. Thanks so much.
Great to be here. Thank you.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing news channel, now in 65 million homes. Get Newsmax TV on all the major cable systems or go to NewsmaxTV.com and click on the Find Newsmax tab to locate us. Remember, Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.